Over this coming weekend, we are quite likely to experience a significant reality check in terms of our desire body and our relationships. And in doing so, we are going to take one step closer to understanding where it is in this life we are being asked to evolve and where we're being asked to show up greater with more strength and with more connection with divinity. This is the cosmological narrative for the weekend, October 25th and October 26th, Saturday and Sunday. So on Saturday, we're going to look at two different aspects, and on Sunday, we're going to look at three different aspects, with one of the aspects slightly being just a movement from one celestial body to another celestial body. So on Saturday, the two aspects we're going to look at is Mercury in the superior trine position of Scorpio, making a trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces. The second aspect we're going to look at is Venus opposite the new moon in Aries degree point in Aries from Libra. So that's what we're going to look at first. The second set of aspects we're going to look at are going to perfect on Sunday, the 26th, and it's going to be Venus in Libra opposite the North Node in Pisces, and then the moon in its detriment in Capricorn, making at first a square to Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and then connecting with Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So the 25th is going to quite likely be marked by some sort of significant information. When we have a Mercury in Scorpio making a trine to Saturn retrograde in Pisces, and again, Mercury is in the superior position, so that means Saturn is working on behalf of whatever Mercury is bringing to our attention. I could see this transit very much being a connection with understanding where we have been transforming our lives in the Scorpionic area of our chart, and how the obstacle that Saturn is inflicting in the Piscean area of our chart are actually cohabitating. They're cohabitating the same energy. They're playing along the same energetic thread. And since Saturn is supporting Mercury, this to me suggests that whatever Mercury is bringing to our attention will help us integrate and make sense, as I said before, make sense of what Saturn is doing. Because again, Mercury has been moving through Scorpio, and we need to think about Scorpio as being our own personal underworld. It's the closet with skeletons, it's the basement where all the lights are blown out, and Mercury is not a light, Mercury is not the sun, so Mercury is essentially roaming around this dark skeleton-filled closet, or this dark basement of ours, and flagging things that we need to bring attention to make transformation about, especially since he is co-present with Mars, who is in his domicile in Scorpio, who is driving us with an impetus to make those changes in the Scorpionic area of our chart. So it's not just data for data's sake. We're not just getting some sort of communication or analysis about the Scorpionic area of our chart and having nothing to do with it. We will feel driven to make change about it. However, whatever Mercury will be bringing to our attention this weekend is quite likely showing us that the obstacles Saturn has been putting on us are helping us achieve some sort of internal balance, which will help us achieve our Venetian desires. And let's connect the story. So at the same time that trine between Mercury and Saturn is taking place, Venus is in her domicile of Libra, which is an air sign, all about communication. It's harmony in relationships, it's harmony with other people. And so when Venus is there, there is a strong effort to make balances and essentially make the changes that don't require this mass transformation. Think about when we're chasing Venetian desires in Libra as just evening the scales out. Oh, we're off 0.2 on this side, we're off 0.4 on that side, we're going to even the scales. This isn't the time of the season for Venus where we're completely transforming the way that we go about our Venetian desires. We're making like the minor adjustments that we're capable of making in the Libran section of our chart prior to Venus entering Scorpio. And so with the opposition happening, Venus will be opposing the degree that we had that full moon in Aries October 6th. So remember what that full moon in Aries was about. It was the culmination of a chapter in the Arian section of our chart that focused on some sort of defining story that we're going through about learning how to be an individual more in that area, because that is the prescription of action for Aries in our chart. Wherever Aries is at in our chart, that is where we need to show up, stand up, and basically not give an F about what anyone else thinks. That's where we have to stand alone and be open to criticism, open to hate, essentially, and still stand in our own power. So with Venus in Libra opposing that full moon degree mark, to me it suggests that we are coming to terms with something that can't be balanced. That's what the opposition suggests. The opposition as an aspect is of the nature of Saturn. And remember, we have this Mercury trine Saturn that's taking place the same day. So this Venus in Libra opposite the full moon degree in Aries moment it's actually something that Saturn is instigating. So let's go back and let's review. Mercury's trining Saturn retrograde. We're being brought information that makes sense about what that obstacle is. And so what is that obstacle? Currently, that obstacle in this specific case is going to be an inability to rectify where our Venetian body is taking us, where our desire body is taking us, because it might require us to overcompromise some sort of balance in the Libran section of our chart that doesn't fit with the story that was being birthed under that full moon in Aries. And so I could see this as being a strong moment, an external situation where we have to come to terms, a moment of a reality check with our desires, where we have to come to terms with where are we not individuating enough, where did we let go of a story and maybe we're getting a repeat of it, we're getting like an opportunity to dive back into a bad pattern. And essentially this could feel like maybe this is people pleasing, maybe this is going to be an opportunity to give more of yourself than you need to. And again, that's not what we're doing with Venus in Libra. We're just balancing the scales very slightly. We're not making these massive transformations to the Libran area of our chart. So I could see this being like a tension between our need to be an individual in that story that was born under the Aries full moon and where our Venetian body's taking us. Now on Sunday the 26th, Venus in Libra will then move into a quincux position with the North Node in Pisces. And at the same time, the moon in its detriment in Capricorn will first square Saturn retrograde in Pisces and then Neptune retrograde in Pisces. So Venus in Libra making a quincux to the North Node in Pisces can be interpreted a couple ways. As a whole, the quincux is that push-pull dynamic. It's that learning to sit in the discomfort. It's learning to sit in distress and distressing feelings, because sometimes we don't always know how to push forward, and instead of doing something irrationally or impulsive or playing it safe, sometimes we're just asked to sit in that void, and that's what a quincux can feel like. It can feel like this void energy where we can see a conflict, we can see a problem, we see tension, but we have no real ability to rectify it. We're just like, ugh, like, I just guess I have to tolerate this. But the toleration of that void is part of the lesson that's being instigated by that aspect. So once again, Venus in Libra is very focused on making those little adjustments in our relationships and on, in the harmony of the Libran section of our chart and how we communicate that Libran energy to the world depending on where it's at in your zodiacal chart. With it being a quincux with the North Node, it's like we know that we're growing towards something because the North Node represents our soul's conscious and evolutionary growth. It's the most discomfort we will experience as this archetype that we are born into, and it's the discomfort that we have to push into in order to achieve the full fulfillment of our soul's growth. So Venus in Libra making that quincux to the North Node in Pisces, to me, suggests that this could be like realizing that what we seek out of relationships is too comfortable and we need to tweak something in order to get closer to our growth, or perhaps the relationships you're in aren't really doing it for your personal growth, but you don't really know how to balance the scales. And again, because we're not in Scorpio season yet, where for Venus, where we're transforming our desires, we're just trying to make adjustments, and the adjustment that might be required in order for us to go forward in our soul's evolution might be a lot heavier and a lot more lifting than we're capable of doing while Venus is in Libra. But on the whole, Venus quincux North Node suggests that our desire body, something we're desiring, is kind of at odds with where we're growing. And it's not that we need to change what we're desiring, it's that we need to change likely how we're going about getting it. And the change that we decide upon once we sit in that void will be the outcome and the purpose of this aspect for me. Now, at the same time, the moon is in Capricorn in detriment. The moon is in detriment in Capricorn because when the moon's in Capricorn, our emotional body essentially becomes very detached for the sake of getting shit done. That's the easiest way to understand it. Capricorn's about work, and so oftentimes during mundane transits of the moon in Capricorn, we as a collective are focused on work. And even if it like falls on a weekend, it might be like, oh, you have a very productive weekend where maybe you worked at your 9 to 5 all week, but now you're getting shit done on the weekend. So again, moon in Capricorn is slightly like detaching from your emotions in order to get something done, knowing and kind of viewing your own emotions as a liability. So what does that do to the moon? It puts it into a detriment position because the moon isn't able to express herself fully because you're a liability, essentially. Like, that's how we feel about the moon in this moment. And that square to Saturn and then a subsequent square to Neptune retrograde, to me, feels like a test of faith. We have this internal tension. A square is of the nature of Mars, which we'll connect in a moment, but we have this internal tension that's forming between our emotional body in the Capricorn section of our chart, and we're not really understanding emotionally. Maybe logically we do, but emotionally we are not really connecting with what Saturn is doing in our chart. And then that subsequent square to Neptune could also be a confrontation with delusion or fantasy, because then we're also like, well, is our fantasies and delusions and what we're even dreaming and fantasizing about in this life realistic, or do we need to really ground ourselves in our own reality? So again, this happening concurrently at the same time that Venus is quincunx the North Node could be like a reality check in our desire body, where we're like, oh man, I understand fully, internally, emotionally, maybe not logically, but emotionally, I understand that these obstacles, and as well as the fantasies that I think that I could achieve by overcoming these obstacles, it might not be a true reflection of reality, and we might need to detach from our emotional body a little bit in order to move forward on our journey, because then again the moon will move from Capricorn into Aquarius, where our desire body becomes focused on they, the other, and service to the collective, as well as making a conjunction with Pluto. So it's like we're going to essentially come through this sense of being detached from our emotional body. We're going to come through the sense of being detached from our emotional body, and then it's going to move into, well, how can I make those changes? What power dynamics do I need to change in order to get to where I want to be in life when that moon goes conjunct with Pluto next week? If you enjoy these astrological and spiritual narratives, I encourage you to check out my weekly astrological and divination-based workshop, Consciousness, Conjunctions, and Conversations. I hold it every single Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. It's completely free. You can sign up at the link in my bio. Just make sure you sign up a little bit early. It's limited to 10 seats per week. We go through last week's energy transits and the next week's energy transits, and I teach you how to delineate where these things are taking place in your spiritual journey so that you can better integrate the lessons that the universe has offered to you, and you can continue your growth, your conscious soul evolution, because that is the point, I think, of astrology and the spiritual work. So let's do it. The second thing is that if you're interested in booking a reading with me, I have my menus posted on both Instagram and TikTok that are pinned to the top, as well as the link tree in my bio. You can message me on any of those platforms, and I also have financial and hardship pricing available if you are affected by the downturn in the economy. Let's not make a sacred art exclusive for just the rich and the famous and those that can afford it. Shoot me a message, let me know your situation. We will coordinate, we will work something out. And if I don't see you in class, if I don't see my DMs for a reading, I will see you on Monday for the astrological narrative for Monday and Tuesday. Y'all have a productive and great weekend.